on them, I think esports is going to blow up out here. We saw that a little bit when we went into the pandemic here in Las Vegas. They made emergency restrictions to allow a couple, because there was no sports going on. So they actually opened it up to where people were able to do some betting on some esports. And I feel like that was huge. Once they're able to get that stuff in place, I think we'll see a lot more of over here in the States and in the West. I think the popularity of it is going to grow immensely.
I'm going to guess from looking at everything you do with Las Vagas Inferno, everything you do with LAN Parties, everything you do with the CFG Game Cast and your own streams, that gaming is a big part of your life. So can you tell me a bit about like your relationship with gaming? Is it something that you had since a child, or is it something that you discovered as an adult?
Oh, no. I've been gaming since, the Atari, Commodore 64. I actually pulled out a old video because I'm converting old tapes to digital now. And I found our Christmas. It was Christmas of '89, and I received my a Nintendo. And I still just, I've always loved video games. Video games for me they're very much like books. They're interactive books. They tell a story. You've got gorgeous music, and the production values and gaming has changed so much in the years of just, hey, I'm playing this game. We're shooting the bad guys, and I'm trying to get this this simple goal to these immersive stories. I did kind of stop playing a little bit in college. I didn't really stop. I played sports games. I played a little CS, Counter-Strike. Original Counter-Strike and stuff like that. But, I just, gaming has just always been a part of my life. It was something when I first moved out to Las Vegas. I moved out here in 2006 after college. And for me, it was about, trying to, I'm starting anew here. So I had gotten a job at a TV station and I worked swing shift. So I would work from 3 to 11 p.m. And then I would come home and I would game from like midnight until 8 a.m. So it's like it was a cheap source of entertainment for myself as well. But video games has just always been a very big part of my life, and something that will always be a big part of my life.
And they stay with you, don't they? Those
Absolutely.
Stories that we experience. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could tell me a game from the Commodore 64 that you're just like, that's in your heart and that's embedded right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I can't even remember. I can't remember the name of it. I just remember that I called it Gray Boy, and I have no idea what the actual name of the game was, but I absolutely loved it. I have tried going on the internet looking for it, but going by Gray Boy, I have not found any luck. So anyway, it was like a black and white, like, game, and like you were in these trees. I don't even know what the point of the game was, but I absolutely loved it for some reason. There's so many classic games on the Commodore.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know what? We could use this podcast as almost like a launching point for, does anyone know this game?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see if we can find it. Yeah. So, but yeah, like you say, with gaming and the stories that kind of stay with us, whether we're looking back at like the original, I'm going to disparage Final Fantasy VII a little bit, but like for me, like Final Fantasy X, fan story, and as he makes his way kind of through that sort of stayed with me. Noctis in Final Fantasy 15. That stayed with me a lot, and I think more recently as well with the TV show just coming out, The Last of Us. Which I haven't played.
Oh, so let me ask you a question then. After watching the show, does it make you feel like you need to go and play the game now?
Honestly, I've only seen the trailers.
Oh, so you haven't even watched any of the show?
I haven't even watched the show yet.
Tom, what are you doing?
I know.
The Last of Us, in my opinion, is one of the greatest all-time games. And it's not that they did anything crazy, but that story is so good. And the character development, everything about it is so good. And I have to say, because I am watching, and again, I'm not going to throw any spoilers for those that haven't seen it, but what they've done with this adaptation of the game has been absolutely fantastic. We know from video game adaptions, they can be kind of hit or miss. In the last couple years, though, they've really been dialing them in. When I feel like it started when they had to completely go back and redo Sonic after that nightmare fuel induced thing that they put on the screen. And the fans said, no, enough is enough. Since then, for the most part, they've been pretty good. I would say Halo was a little rough, but I haven't played. I've only beaten the first Halo game, and I was never an Xbox. I never owned an Xbox. So Halo was never really, I'm only now that I have PC, I'm only now starting to play them and get that. So I don't have that kind of connection like others did with Halo, but I enjoyed the series. But I could see too that it was a little rough. It was a little rough.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm Team Green now. Like I am. Okay. Like I started on PlayStation, and then an original Xbox came into my life, and I fell in love. And I didn't look at the PS3 or the PS4 until relatively recently. So I've just been Xbox all the way.
Wow.
But yeah, Halo is like I've done Halo 1, 2, and 3. And the ending missions as well, the final missions of Halo are just which ones have you done so far?
I've only done one. I'm currently in the middle of 2 right now.
Okay, have fun. Enjoy this. You are just strap in for the next bit.
Yeah.
And then blast straight ahead to 3. And tell me your reaction at the end of 3. Like, contact me afterwards and just tell me what you think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right with those stories. They do kind of absolutely stay with us. And something else that I found kind of really interesting when prepping for this interview is sort of looking at the world of esports, because I know you do a lot of work for Las Vagas Inferno. So tell me all about them and tell me about this world of esports, this other side of gaming.
Yeah, and it was newish to me too. I was familiar with esports and games that fall under that umbrella of esports. I think one thing, first off, in terms of esports, is that esports fits underneath the video game umbrella. So every video game is not an esport, but every esport is a video game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it really is a whole different world that people, I feel they don't quite understand it yet. The training that goes into it, the practice, the different regiments, the coaching that goes into it. I was super fortunate that I had met Jairo, who is the CEO of Las Vagas Inferno years ago now, through somebody separately, actually. He was working at a company, and I was working with the company, and that's how we ended up meeting each other. And, just being able to be a content creator on not only an esports team, but we are the official esports team of Las Vegas. We actually just celebrated. We had a proclamation from Mayor Goodman that January 6th is Las Vegas Inferno Day. So we actually
congratulations.
Yes, thank you. So we got done celebrating that here not too long ago, and as far as an organization, a lot of people, when they're thinking esports, they're, oh, it's just people sitting down and playing video games. It's so much more than that, and the things. And obviously, we have different professional teams that they're either there, and they may not necessarily be strictly in Las Vegas. They could be folks from around the world. Again, esports works very similar to traditional sports. You can draft people, recruit people, build a team, and then have them whatever their main focus is, whether it be Call of Duty, Rocket League. There's a plethora of esports games that are out there. They just, they're competing. But as a whole, as an organization, we do a lot of, one of the big things, one of our mission statements is really doing good and being able to give back to the community that we're in. And we've done things such as blood drives. We've worked with Starlight Children's Foundation to bring a gaming setup to the Summerlin Hospital over here. We've partnered up with other businesses within the community, and it's so important to be able to do that. Again, if you look at traditional sports, you see similar things where they go out and do community outreach and things like that. So when you're thinking of esports, they think of it in the same terms as you would a traditional team. And, we've got events coming up. We're actually running a Smash Brothers tournament, a free Smash Brothers tournament with a $300 prize. So that's coming up here soon. We've got organizations and events coming out throughout this year. So, it's really special, and being able to be a content creator on there. It was at first I wasn't sure exactly what that meant. And as we've gone along and moved along, we've brought on new people. We work on videos together and thinking and coming up of events that we can do, collaborating with other people and collaborating with each other. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to be able to be a part of an organization that really cares about the community, and it's kind of marrying that love of being able to play video games and getting out into the community and being able to do some good with the things that we're able to utilize the platforms that we have to boost up other people and the good that other people are doing too. So I would say, Las Vagas Inferno, we are all over the place in terms of that. And when you think of esports as well, that's all in front, I guess, of the camera. Behind the scenes, there's all kinds of stuff. We've got videographers, we've got producers, we've got community relations folks and whatnot. It's a whole team legitimately that goes behind these organizations, and just being able to see it and be inside of it and a part of it. We've got Javon, we've got professional, we've got folks from the Golden Knights, the Silverhawks, multiple professional teams that are also a part of the team as well. So you've got, it's kind of that intermixing of both coming together. And to me, over here in the West, it's not really as big. I know it's bigger in Europe than it is here in the States. Obviously it's huge over in Asia and that region as well. I think for here in the States, and I know that they're working on this stuff, that once they figure out a way to legally be able to, for folks to be able to legally bet on them, I think esports is going to blow up out here. We saw that a little bit when we went into the pandemic here in Las Vegas. They made emergency restrictions to allow a couple, because there's no sports going on. So they actually opened it up to where people were able to do some betting on some esports. And I feel like that was huge. Once you're able to get that stuff in place, I think we'll see a lot more of over here in the States and in the West. I think the popularity of it is going to grow immensely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're, in terms of, I can't talk much about betting, but you're in the perfect city. For that. When one thinks of betting, you think of a certain city in the desert in Nirvana. But I'm finding the world of esports really fascinating, because in sort of with my experience in the social sciences, there are a lot of psychologists and sociologists now moving into that space, which is kind of a really interesting bit to talk about. And you also mentioned esports over here in Europe, and something that I can tell you that is absolutely huge over here is Formula One, which I'm a massive fan of, and they quite literally have the teams that are on the grid are pouring actual money from the budget into the esports to run like races. And during the pandemic, like you saw with the restrictions being lifted, they were running esport races in place of the events that were meant to be happening, and that was absolutely super epic. So what do you think's next up for esports? What's around the corner?
You know, it's a little tough to say because I still feel like esports really hasn't found its footing. And again, I'm speaking from the United States standpoint. I know in other places, you know, it is absolutely huge and they're doing it. What I'm seeing over here is a lot of people dumping money into it. And then it's like, now what? And it just doesn't seem, I don't know what it is. And I think it's just because over here, they just haven't gotten to that popularity level yet. I still feel like it's very much in its infancy in terms of awareness, public awareness to the sports and the folks. And I think some of the things that are going to help that out is, number one, the people, the athletes that are a part of this. A lot of what's huge about sports in general are the characters, the people that are playing within the sport. I don't feel like there's a lot of folks in that sector that people have connected with. And I really wish there was more emphasis on that out here. That, and then just the educating part of it. I mean, there's folks out here, you've got Nevada Education Esports, or the Esports Education League. You've got folks like just other folks, and you've got UNLV, and they've got their work and stuff. My alma mater of Western Illinois University, I know that they've got an esports center and stuff like that as well. So I think the educating part of it is going to be huge. And you know, this younger generation, they know the possibilities, the career opportunities within the sector too. It's folks that are older that may not, you know, may casually play video games, or, you know, don't play video games at all. They're just like, what is this? I hear something about esports, folks, you know. So I think it's really just bringing that awareness and education to what it is. And I think that's going to help to boost the popularity, and we'll start seeing that growth.
Oh, definitely as well. And like you mentioned with personalities, you can just name any sport. The only one I know is actually Formula One. That's it. But you name any sport, and someone's name will rise to the top straight away off the top of your head, for whether they were absolutely excellent or they were a complete and utter personality, a complete and utter character that drew people kind of to the sport. Like if I mention F1, the first name that comes to mind is Sir Lewis Hamilton, who is an absolutely amazing athlete. Then Max Verstappen, who is probably the most dedicated Formula One driver there's ever been. So who are the big personalities in esports right now? Who do we need to be looking out for?
Well, you know, it's a little tough to say because, again, each esport, they're not all the same. So you have some that are first person shooters, some that are top downs like Dota. Obviously, Faker is huge in League of Legends. You know, you've got you got Booga that he's a Fortnite. I think he's one of the higher paid folks, or just the money that he's gotten millions from playing in these tournaments. I know Scump just retired from COD, but he's probably one of the best COD professional Call of Duty players, you know, in ages. So that's the other thing too, is that, you know, with esports, you've got time limits when it comes to being in your prime and stuff like that. Esports very much is a younger person's game. I'm sorry, us older folks, our time has passed. Our reflexes just ain't there as much as I want it to be. But it really is a younger person's game. So I think the other important part about it too is they've got to be thinking and building what comes next as they're in the middle of it as well.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get done and you're just, it's done. So you have to build that stuff. You have to build that stuff up as well. And that's the thing. Like, those are like some of the major names that I could just think of off the top of my head. Obviously, there are a ton of other folks too that folks know, but those are kind of what I lean towards when I think esports. What are some of the bigger names? But really, like, folks in the League of Legends and the stuff that you guys got going on over in Europe, they just have a much better presence, and the characters and the folks, the athletes are known better over there. And I'm in the industry, you know what I mean? And I still have times where I'm just like, I never heard of any of these people.
Yeah. And it's like, the more you describe esports to me, the more I'm seeing parallels to kind of real sports. We've mentioned the characters that are there, and something that we've kind of touched on and not really talked about. You also mentioned there as well, like, sort of working out what comes next while you're in the middle of it. You've got the very short shelf life, and you've also got so much, I imagine, so much dedication and training from every single participant. Is it like as intense as like traditional sports?
Absolutely. I mean, Las Vagas Inferno, Gamerflex, we have a personal trainer on our staff, because that's you're not only physically do you need to be, in shape and well and taking care of yourself, also mentally. Which I feel like that gets neglected a lot of time, because they are putting in hours and hours of practice, playing the same game, going and getting a workout in, being a person and stuff like that. So you're absolutely correct in terms of the parallels. And I think that's where it's very much people don't understand what goes into it. From an outsider perspective, it looks like, hey, here's some people just sitting down and playing some video games, and it's more than that. The hours and hours alone of practice that they have done to get to this level is unimaginable. I can't even, like, I wouldn't even want to, because, like, I don't know that I could play games, the same game. Like, well, that's not true. I play a lot of Overwatch, so I could. If I wish I was better. I wish I was better, but yes, it takes a lot of dedication. It puts a lot of work into it, both physically and mentally, that goes into esports and these athletes. And also too, you got to think things like Call of Duty, and this is what's crazy to me, to be able to get a team into the Call of Duty League, it costs $25 million.
What?
$25 million. Yeah, Tom. That is crazy. Each team, that's the starting out. Go ahead.
That is okay. Right. Formula One, the lowest ranked team, I think it was Williams, had to only pay, I think it was like somewhere between $200,000 to $500,000 to enter. 25 million.
Nuts. That is nuts. Yeah. That's the other thing that hurts too. People are going to be less likely to do that because your return on investment, it's not there yet. In terms of esports, it's not there. The viewership's not there. Obviously, and that's what they're trying to do. In the same sense with traditional sports, they're looking to try to fill stadiums, trying to fill these buildings, and they banked on that. Obviously, it was a big hit once the pandemic came along. And that was one of the big kind of, I guess, disappointing parts to me, that you saw all these different areas and industry really embracing digital and the internet and what you can do there. And I felt like in terms of esports, it was a little lackluster. And I understand it because, I mean, lag and stuff like that, it is a game of milliseconds in terms of reaction times and stuff like that. So obviously that could have a big negative effect. But I kind of expected it to flourish more than it did, and it really kind of didn't. It got the job done. There were events, there were things, but I didn't feel that it was as big, or they really took advantage of that time where folks were inside, indoors, eyeballs on TV screens, phones, computers, whatever. I felt like it was really a big missed opportunity. But I mean, it's hard to get in with that kind of price tag. But you do see on the back end, you've got traditional sports owners that are also part owners of esports teams. You see folks like Snoop Dogg on what is he, FaZe or 100 Thieves. You know, you've got these big names and these big brands. I mean, we saw it was FaZe that went public recently, and they're now traded on the stock market, which I'm just like, I feel like these folks are trying to get a little ahead. I think that eventually it may come to something like that, but we're not there yet in esports, at least in the United States. And there it's been a little problematic. So you've seen it go back and forth a little bit. And really, I don't know what direction or where it's going to land. I just know that there's a ton of people throwing a ton of money at it, both on the advertising side and on the ownership and recruitment and stuff like that. So it's there. It just hasn't really grasped on yet.
Yeah, like I kind of hope that like it really kicks off in the States, because if it kicks off in the States, that would be kind of like the final piece almost, because you've got Europe. I think we've got a pretty good scene over here in Europe. Japan and Asia, they've got a really good scene as well, that I'm sort of I'm hoping like we just they get a world championship in something. That'd be awesome.
Right.
But yeah, I kind of let's move on to talking about you now, because that's kind of what this podcast is about. It's about you. So we've talked about Las Vagas Inferno, we've talked about the esports world kind of itself, and we touched on it very briefly, but let's bring it back to the forefront. Your role with Las Vagas Inferno, tell me everything that you do with them and how you go about doing it.
Yeah, so for me, I'm a content creator with them. So I'll go to events, work on videos and things like that. Really, just anything that I can help on that end. I know that there's projects and things that I can't speak on currently right now that will be coming up. But I mean, just fun things like we just did an announcement. Sean Kelly says. Just came on board, just joined the team. We put together a video for that. So that was a ton of fun. And really, it's just kind of, especially going into this year, I'm gonna age myself here, but I turned 40 this year. So, it's one of my things is like, look, man, like I just want to get back into doing as much as I can, putting out as much content and being a part of things. That's where I've always thrived and enjoy, going in. There's a convention that's coming out here that I believe I don't want to say anything quite yet because it hasn't been completely confirmed, but I believe I'll be emceeing over there. So again, these are not only opportunities just to get at and get out into the community, more than just a face behind the screen, where you can actually go and meet people and speak with people, make connections and network and stuff like that. So it really is, in terms of a content creator with Las Vagas Inferno, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's helping to create content underneath that brand name. Obviously, I also have my own individual stuff that I do as well, but it's fantastic also being a part of a team and being able to collaborate with these folks. We've got fantastic, which as of this recording, Mark of Arc, it is his birthday today. So happy birthday, Mark. Yes. He's our fantastic videographer, photographer, just all around producer, that is creating and helping us to create different content and stuff like that too. So it's just, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to be able to go and do different things and not just having to be boxed into, I just do this one thing and this is it. There's no telling what we may be doing or what kind of content we may be creating. And everybody also, not only as a team, but they're also individually creating content. So there's things that we've done outside of Las Vegas Inferno that we've collaborated on, like Logan Radio Rocks. He has a quiz show on Mondays. I was a part of his quiz show, and that was a lot of fun. I should have won, but I didn't. I lost in the last round. I couldn't believe it. It was good. It was good though. Javi deserved it. But just going out and having fun and being able to do things like that. But I know that in terms of Las Vegas Inferno, there are a lot of plans, and we've got some great content creators, not only here in Las Vegas, but around the country. We've got fantastic. We got LV Assassin. He's a Madden professional Madden player. We've got Brit Brat. She's down in Florida. So many folks that are just out there. Larry Fishburger. He's I don't even know. He's somewhere. I think he might be in maybe Boston or somewhere on the East Coast. But it's great because those folks will also come out too, and then we're able to then do collaborate with them and work with them. So it's a lot of fun, and that really has been the big thing to me. It's about a lot of this is not just about making content and doing stuff. It's almost like you become close friends with these folks, and you guys legitimately are a team working together for a common goal, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, and you know what? I see the same with podcasting as well. Like I've reached out to some of the other podcasters, and I've made quite a few friends over the past however many, nearly 6, 7, 8 some months I've been doing this. I'm trying not to age the recording because I record way in advance. But yeah, when one thinks influencer and content, when one thinks like content creator, you think you just think like sort of influencer, and that's not to disparage influencers at all. You think, oh, just making videos for TikTok, just taking pictures for Instagram. But as we kind of both know, it's a lot more than that, isn't it?
Absolutely. It is way more. There's so much more that goes into it other than what you see forward facing on these different platforms and whatnot. And really, I feel that it's just, especially with technology, things have gotten so much at a consumer level, price wise, accessibility of equipment, information of how to do things is out there. Anybody can go and do this stuff. I mean, I have like a little mini studio in the room that I'm here in right now, but it's been years of just accumulating different equipment, seeing what works and trying things out. Again, this very much was something that I was drawn to because I was already in TV production. So I was like, when I found out, I was like, wait a second, you're telling me it's got all those elements and I get to play video games? Yo, sign me up. Sold. You got me. You got me. But yeah, it really is. And I think there is a bit of a difference. I think that you definitely have, I guess they are kind of, it's hard to say between influencer and content creator, because in a sense a content creator can also be an influencer as well, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're an influencer, but obviously they're making this content and the content has an influence on people. So it's one of those areas where it's like, what? I don't know what I am. I do things and stuff. But there's some people are like, yes, I am an influencer. I work directly with brands and push out what they have to their audience. Whereas, I'm not trying to sell anything, or I'm just creating something that I think is funny or maybe a good story or whatever the case is. And a lot of that stuff too is kind of testing out what's going to work. How do I work this algorithm so I can push this out to as many people as possible? And then again, that even within that stuff is like, hey, let me drive you to the other things that I'm doing as well. If you like this, you may also like this and this and this or that. Or, hey, I know a person that does this. You should connect with that person. I feel like the whole space, a lot of that space is really connecting with people. I think, people just want to be able to connect They want to connect with people that are like-minded. They want to be able to connect with people that are not like-minded. And we have that accessibility and the means to be able to do so. So, it's not something, it may look easy. It's not easy. The planning, the producing of the content, the being consistent with the content. There's a lot that goes into it other than somebody sitting there in front of something saying, cheese. How do I look?
Oh my God. But yeah, no, you mentioned consistency there, and literally consistency is key. I think to any endeavor like this, any creative endeavor. And you've also mentioned your sort of past in TV production. So moving on now to talk about the podcast you do, LAN Parties and the CFG Game Cast. Was podcasting always something you're just like, yeah, I definitely want to go towards that? Or was that something that you more stumbled across and was like, actually, I really like this space?
So, and it's quite an interesting story. So I went to school, my major was in broadcasting and more of an emphasis like on sound design and sound. As I got to my senior year, I was like, wait a second, I don't think radio is where it's at. Like, this format seems like it's struggling. And I ended up after I graduated, I had a buddy that was working at a TV station. So I was able to connect with him and he got me in there. And that's when I started doing TV, floor directing, working master control. A few months later, I moved out here to Vegas, got another TV gig out here. That's where I really got the meat of what I was able to do in TV. I literally started as a floor director and teleprompter operator, moved on to audio operator, Chiron and graphics, technical directing, supervising on the weekend, and then production manager. So I literally went through the whole gamut of all the different things that you could do. But along the way, there was so much that I picked up and I learned, and just the connections and the other stuff, and again collaborating with other people and the stuff that we were able to create has been that was great and fantastic and whatnot. So, doing that stuff at the TV station, I had pitched this before. I was like, hey, we should totally, like, video games is huge. There's a huge base. We should really do something about this. And I couldn't even get it out of our station to pitch it. And I was like, oh, man. All right. Anyway, I ended up leaving there here a few years back. And I got picked up by the Las Vegas Review Journal. And I remember, I'm sorry. I'm totally skipping like a whole section. When I first started streaming, I was in a group called Twitch Streaming and Networking, TSAM. And there is this thing called buddy groups. And what they would do is get people that are kind of similar in size and location and stuff like that. And they'd put us into a group and we'd network and connect. That's where I met my co-host Davis, was through the first one that I did. And, we're friends and this and that. And he had asked me, he's like, hey, man, would you be interested in doing a podcast with me? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. That sounds great. This is our 4th year of doing the Game Cast now. And from that, when I got hired at the Las Vegas Review Journal, they knew that I was already doing a podcast. And we had this manager introduced me to Lukas and said, hey, I think you guys should meet each other. You guys should talk about maybe doing a video game podcast. I was like, oh, yeah, let's absolutely. So we sat down, and again, a big instrumental part of that was our executive producer, Reed, who he ended up, he's not with us, but he helped us to set it up and get it going and whatnot. And then really in terms of that, it's Lukas and I that do all that work behind it. We're the ones that are doing the editing, booking guests, all that stuff, so we just we had the ability to kind of take it and run with it. And I would say that the pandemic actually ended up being a huge boon for us, because now all these high profile guests that maybe we would have never in a lifetime had access to became very accessible. It was huge. I remember the first big name that we had was Nolan North. And if you know anything about voice acting, absolutely. Like, he is legendary in the world of acting, voice acting. And it was just like, I was sitting there trying not to fanboy after going through this interview. But I mean, it's just amazing. But I mean, sorry, I'm completely going off topic. To answer your question, it was kind of something I already had the ability to do it. It was not something that I had ever banked on or even thought about it. But here we are 2 podcasts later. I also produce 2 separate podcasts that I'm not a part of. I just do the recording and editing for it as well. So really, podcasting was something that I didn't know that I was going to be a part of, but the opportunity came, and again, it's when opportunity meets what did I say? Is opportunity meets opportunity meets skill, or
is that the prepared one? Like when opportunity meets preparedness, and luck, and something like that.
Exactly, and that's really what it is, man. It's just, hey, I've got these skill sets. I know this stuff, and the opportunity came along, and it's like, yes. Let's do it. Being able to say, yes, let's do it. Yep. Whether, internally, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I know the concept of it, but I've never actually put it into practice, but we gonna figure it out. And that's exactly what we did.
Isn't that what the most fun in life is, though? Like, just figuring it out, like stumbling through and sort of hoping for the best.
Exactly. That's what it is. There's the secret, folks. We were just stumbling along and trying to figure it out until you just get good at it and you just know it, and it becomes second nature to you.
Mm-hmm. So I imagine now, as you said, you just get good at it. You're obviously, you and Lukas, very good at running the LAN parties. I absolutely love it. You two are just an absolute joy to listen to. So I kind of want to know, when you are preparing an episode, what does that process look like? What would it look like if I inexplicably got a flight from Heathrow to New York and then to Las Vegas and was just sat next to you, just in the corner? What would I see?
Well, you'd see me probably in pajama pants, because we do. Because we do it straight from our houses, which is fantastic. There is a studio that we can go into, but I mean, again, a lot of our guests are not here, so we just typically go and do it from our house. But really, in terms of, so we're a weekly episodic video game news topics, and then we try to have a guest on, somebody within the industry. And I mean, we've had folks such as Dr. Cow or Court, it's on the psychological side of gaming, and authors, musicians. Like, there's such a big wide range of folks. So really, we have the gaming news, and those are quick. We don't get super in depth with it. We kind of give you a surface level of, hey, here's some interesting news that's going on in the gaming world. But a lot of times our focus then turns to, after that, it turns to the folks that we're speaking with, what they do in the industry. Because again, it's that education level and really helping folks to understand, whoa, man, there's a lot more to this than people just sitting in front of a screen playing video games. There is a whole industry. People have careers in this stuff. So being able to just use our platform to help educate people, and also, utilize it to boost up, especially some of these local folks that are doing things on the education level, or may have an event. We'll have them on and be able to push that out a little bit as well. So it's just, I kind of I think I lost my train of thought there for a second.
Trying to fall off the rail, 200 dead.
Things and stuff.
So, like, how do you pick kind of what to cover? Because you said you just go kind of straight for it on the surface level. Is there a criteria, or is it just what catches your eye?
Really what catches our eye, and we try to not get too obscure, with some of the things, realizing and especially for folks that are not as familiar with the video game industry, we want it to be palatable by everybody, whether you're a super gamer, hardcore professional, to somebody that has no idea what to even do with a video game. We want to be able to make it enjoyable for everybody and show people that, hey man, there's a lot going on in this industry. So there's not really anything in particular that we'd say, gaming wise, but we try to stick to video games. And I know video games can cross over into politics a little bit. We've got stuff like over in China, they just banned like Blizzard and all that stuff, which again, it's going to have a huge effect esports wise, because you're talking about WoW, World of Warcraft, Overwatch, Call of Duty. Right now they currently can't play it. So there's some things that, again, we try not to go too deep into the politics of things, but obviously that stuff does have an effect on video games and us as consumers, whether we're able to play a game or not, or how it affects us. So there's not really anything that we won't necessarily touch, but as long as it's within the context of video games and we can explain or help folks to understand the effects that it has or may have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, totally. Because it's kind of interesting. I was also having a few weeks ago, I met Matthew Bliss, who I really should connect you to, because you two will get on like a house on fire. From the Dead Drop podcast over in Australia.
Oh, okay,
and his thing is kind of a little bit similar. I think it's like 10 minutes gaming news a few times a week that kind of talks about the important stories of the time. And it's kind of just interesting to almost see, like, now I've got quite a few different gaming podcasts on my feed. It's really interesting to see who picks different topics and why they pick that topic, if that makes any degree of sense.
No, it totally does, because that's something, before Lukas and I, we typically record Monday mornings, and, basically based off the stuff that happens throughout the weekend up to that point is what we're looking for. We want the latest news that we can possibly get. Sometimes you may not get much or anything, so we'll go back and maybe find something that's a little older or something that in general you could just talk about. It doesn't necessarily have to be time stamped. But the idea, and then when we get together, we'll both be like, all right, here's the topics that I have. What do you have? And then we'll basically say, all right, yeah, let's talk about that. Or, hey, we both had that one. We're definitely talking about that. But yeah, we just choose a couple of topics there, and then basically reserve the second half of the show for the interview. But we've also been doing, obviously, during the start of the year and during the holidays, we kind of lighten up a little bit, and it'll just be Lukas and I talking, which is a lot of fun because that gives us a chance to it's just all video game talk, and what our thoughts are and stuff like that on it is. But yeah, there's not really any kind of big process per se that we go through. We'll do the research, and again, a lot of the research, a lot of stuff that we're talking about on the gaming level is very surface level, so we're not getting super in depth or super deep within and using different jargon and terminology, gamer terminology and stuff like that. We want to keep it surface level intentionally for folks that may not be as avid gamers as other folks are.
No, totally. I know also you've got how are you finding the time? Another project you do as well. The list. You should see my notes. It is just a list. CFG Game Cast. Tell me all about that. Introduce that for us as well.
Yeah. The CFG Game Cast is, again, that is a personal project that my friend Davis and I have been working on here for the last 4 years now. So happy 4 years to the Game Cast as well. But and then our friend Lex. This is Lex, who she actually lives out here in Las Vegas as well. She's a personal friend of mine. And we had gone through a couple of different co-hosts. And then, they had to leave for one reason or the other. And Lex has been with us here for the last, I want to say 2-3 years now. Which has been fantastic. And when I actually mentioned your podcast to her, she told me, "Oh my goodness, no way! I totally listened to that podcast." I was like, "That is amazing. Yes. That is, dude. What a small world. What small world." Yes. So that is a personal thing that we do. We record. We actually record live on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. On Fridays at 5 p.m. PST over at twitch.tv/CFG Games. And it's just a lot of fun. That is, we each bring a topic to the table from that week. Again, this is another one that it's current video game news. And then we discuss that topic. That one, we get a little more with it not being associated with the review journal. I'm able to cut loose a little more on that one. and we have a good time. And then folks, of course, that come in, because part of what's great about that too is that we invite folks to come into the chat, have a discussion, ask questions, and we answer them live, during the recording as well, and bring that stuff in. We've had guests. We'd like to be able to have more guests on there at some point in time and kind of expand it. But I mean, it's just CFG Game Cast is a labor of love. And it really is. And that was my first true, I'm doing podcasting. Again, I don't do the editing or anything on that show. Davis does the editing for that. So I didn't even, it wasn't until LAN Parties that's where I got the learning and the knowledge of, oh, this is how you edit a podcast and going through and this and that. But yeah, I love the Game Cast. It's so much fun to be able to do that and be able to hang out with friends on a Friday night and hang out with chat and just kick the weekend off, right? Talking about video games and what's been going on.
What better way to start the weekend?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you obviously do that live on Twitch. And I know you also have your own Twitch stream. So that's 4 podcasts you work on, and Twitch and Las Vagas Inferno. Where do you find this time? Like, I'm sorry, I'm exhausted after one episode and I have to recover for 2 weeks. And here you are, you're just like, Media Empire.
Like Jay-Z said, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. And it first starts out with having a super supportive partner and family. Without that, I wouldn't have anything. So the fact that they're able to, and they know the time, the commitments that I have, but a lot of it is just planning and being able to make sure that I'm planning appropriately. I've got daycare. We do daycare 3 days a week. So I've got baby at the house 2 days a week. So that's another challenge to throw into the mix. She only this past October started going into daycare. So before that, it was 5 days a week, baby and daddy every day. But it's pure. It's for the love of it. I love doing it. I love creating. I love creating and making things. Some people use pencils and paints and stuff like that. I use cameras and video. I mean, I'm also, so my minor was in theater. My minor was in theater because I didn't feel that, again, this is big ups to my parents. But they're like, well, you don't need a degree to act. And I was like, you're right. And that's what put me down my broadcast journey. That's why I ended up majoring in broadcasting and minoring in theater instead of the other way around. But yeah, it's really just getting out there, and I love creating, and I love, it just has so much of an effect on people because I know how much it affects me in seeing content or seeing something that could be inspiring or something that, can make me sit down and be like, well, I don't even know why I'm balling, but I'm sitting here balling, or be like, this is beautiful. It's like, I want to be able to do that and create something, memorable, something that's educational. I just like to create. And really that's what it came down to. Obviously, again, it's having those skill sets and having those broadcast skill sets that allows me to be able to sit here and do this. Cause like when I stream, I only stream, I'm hoping to pump it up to 3 days a week. But right now and I've been doing 2 days a week for the last like 4 or 5 years. I've been streaming for 6 years. So, just something that is manageable and not crazy. And I'll do longer stretches. I typically stream from like 4 to 6 hours when I stream. So less times that I'm streaming, but still a decent amount of time to be able to. And again, it's just organically growing and meeting people, connecting with people and doing things. And then a lot of it too is like, oh, people see that you can do things. Hey, would you be interested in trying this out? And I'm very much a person who's like, I'll say yes, whether I know how to do it or not. I'm like, cause I know if I don't know how to do it, I can certainly learn how to do it in enough time to be able to do something. And then that's how you grow, getting out of your comfort blanket, getting out of your comfort zone and trying out some stuff. I feel like a lot of people kind of hold themselves back because they're like, oh, it's not the right time or this or that. It's like, you know what, man, just give it a shot. If you fail, you fail. What's the worst that happens? Nothing, you don't lose anything, but you also don't get the opportunity to possibly gain something if you don't try. Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost, if you forgive the betting analogy, it's just like it's like a casino. You gotta bet a little bit on your own skills to get that jackpot. And something that I've noticed as well, and just the way you talk about the people that you interact with, is you built up on your own Twitch channel this really awesome kind of community. We mentioned your Twitch there. You're streaming sort of twice a week. I'm only going to 3 times a week, and I dropped by for a little bit. Actually, I just snuck in there last week, and I suspect you saw me. I suspect you recognized the old username. So something that I've always wanted to ask a streamer is, how do you manage that when there are hundreds and when there are thousands of people all watching you, all interacting in the chat? How does one manage that?
The best that you can. It is not, I mean, there are tools, especially if you have a super active chat. You've got things like slow mode where it'll literally slow down the chat so you're able to read it. It's a juggling act for sure. And that's why a lot of times too, like I don't play a lot of serious games on stream because for me, the focus is hanging out, being able to chat. The games are kind of secondary, or being able to even, if I'm playing with friends or whatever, it starts becoming secondary to what's going on in chat. Cause really that's what it's about for me. It's about being able to just hang out with people. And meet new people, see what's going on, and just kicking it. It's a way for me to not only relax, but also do something that I love. And I've connected with people all around the world thanks to this. And it was something that I really had to grasp. Again, I'm from the age I remember when there was no internet. And I remember when the internet was a thing. And, I was very much you don't meet people from the internet. That's how you get kidnapped. Like, what are you talking about? What I learned was that, I started, because that's how I was like, I didn't even know this was a thing. So I started hanging out and hanging out in other people's streams. And I was like, I really like this. I like the way I feel like this is like Cheers for me. Like I come, hey, Smitty, what's going on? I was like, it's great. And I didn't realize I had that kind of power. I have now had people stay in my house. I have stayed in other states and places with folks that I've met on the internet. It is absolutely insane, but it's so huge. There's different things that you can get out of it. There's some folks that don't talk at all, but they're just really good at games, and people will go and watch that. I am in the latter of, I'm not good at games. I would say, if anything, I'm decent at some games. But that's not why people come. People come to hang out with each other and for us to be able to hang out and have a good time and relax a little bit, and that's what the focus is, especially, my community, the Itty Bitty Smitty Committee. We're all about those good vibes, chilling out and having a great time.
Yeah. And I mean, you can't ask for anything more than that, can you?
Exactly. And that's what, again, I stream Thursdays and Fridays. So it's so close. And then we get the weekend. So I usually end up staying up super late and kicking it with people. But it's great. It's like, I don't even have to go out. I was like, I know I got Vegas right out here, but I've also got my computer where all you beautiful people are. So it's an easy choice for me.
There we go. Before I jump to the questionnaire, which everybody loves, I hope. Can you list for us all of the social media where we can find you, all of the podcasts, all of the 422,604 podcasts that you do? I'll put it in graphics. I'll put the graphics in.
This will be. I'm going to make it super simple for you. Every social media, I am Smitty2447. That is where you can find me. And I'll tell you real quick too. It was supposed to be Smitty247, but somebody already had that name, and I'm so I end up just throwing an extra for him. Like, all right, that's good. That's gonna do it. But yes, I'm Smitty2447 everywhere. You can find LAN Parties and the CFG Game Cast. LAN Parties drops every Wednesday at 3 a.m. PST, and the CFG Game Cast, we record it live on twitch.tv/CFG Games at 5 p.m. PST. And then we drop those release on all streaming podcasting platforms on Mondays. And then, I think that was it. There's a couple other ones I do. What's happening in marketing is a marketing podcast that I produce. And then, the Keith Kale podcast, which is a motivational speaker. And I actually had him on live my show once as well, but great stuff. We're working on an addiction series right now, so it's fantastic content there. Other than that, Smitty2447, you can find me everywhere. Yeah
And like literally you just dropped 2 extra podcasts I didn't even know about there. I'm just like, there's another one and there's another one.
Just doing them on the side.
Heck yeah. And of course, I'm on all the social medias: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I kept it simple. Tom meets people. It used to be an absolute mess, like last season. It was like Tom_meets_people. We're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Something that I have kept in every single episode is the questionnaire. These questions close us out, and they come from the Prost questionnaire, which were later adapted by Bernard Pivot. Later by my hero James Lipton, and now I present my esports adaptation to yourself.
Hey.
What is your favorite word?
My favorite word would have to be, I like the word, it's not even a real word, but I like biggles.
Biggles.
A lot of fun to say.
We got a celebrity called Biggles in the UK.
Is it really?
I'm sure we have. No, Biggins. Biggins is who we have in the UK.
I like Biggins too, though. That's solid. That is solid.
Oh god, he is just. I think, as one of my friends would describe him, a box of frogs. I'd love to have him on the show one day. It's got such an insane energy. But of course, this episode's about you. So, second question is, what is your least favorite word?
Does it have to be, so it's just one word?
Yep, just the one word.
Okay, I will have to say can't.
Can't.
Yes. Yep. Because I don't believe a person can't do anything.
Yeah.
I strongly believe that people can do whatever they set their mind to with hard work and determination and perseverance. I believe anybody can accomplish anything.
Yep, quite right. What engages you?
I would say a I would say maybe just good vibes. And more so than that, I guess people's energy. I feel that I'm kind of in tune to people's energy and just even when speaking with someone and they on the surface level it seems like they're being nice, but like there's just something there or whatever, just like I don't know, I'm good. But then there's some people that just have this energy that you're like, I want to be around this person all the time. What I mean? Like, I love that. I absolutely love it.
I think, I can't remember who was it that said it. It's like there are either drains or fountains. People are one or the other. Try and be a fountain.
I love that. I
can't remember who said it. Oh, God, I have no idea. The opposite question. What disengages you?
I would say energy vampires. Mm-hmm. I don't people that just suck the energy out of you. I try to stay away from that and just people, or not necessarily just people, just things that are just they're there and there's just a negativity around them, and I just don't. I keep myself around or away from that stuff because I don't need it. I don't want that in my life, and if I see it, I'm like, nah, disengaging. I'm good.
Yep, fair dues. Fair enough. What sound or noise do you love?
I love the laughter of a baby. It's so sweet, and it's so sweet and genuine. And obviously I've got an 18-month-old, so it's very fresh out of mind, but it really has been, especially with being able to work from home. I've been working from home for the last 3.5 years, and being able to spend that time with my eldest daughter. I have an 8-year-old as well. I didn't get that. So I saw all these different nuances and all this, the growing right before my eyes, before, the rocker right there, baby's good. To her just turning into a person and saying words now and things like that. So I would say a baby's laughter is just, it's just like, oh, makes me want to do all the good things.
A bit of an observation I'm making here, I'm probably going to have to expand on this on the Twitter thread, is the answers change when people hit parenthood. They change drastically. So I'm kind of curious what your answer to question 6 is. What sound or noise do you hate?
A baby screaming. There is nothing worse than a baby screaming and crying and being like, please, I have given you all the things. I don't know what more you could do. I wish you could say words to me so I can understand to alleviate your stress. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Like it is. And especially when you become a parent, there's something inside that switches on that when you hear it may not even be your own baby. It may be some other baby, but you can feel it inside your bones and inside your soul. It's like, I need to, what? Is there something? Does the baby need help? Like, what is going on? Or there's just a baby that's just crying. It's just like, whoo, that octave and that level. And I've got 2 very loud children. So that it seeps into your bones.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Yes. Yes, it does. Now, for question 7, I do have to be a little bit responsible. I'm going to assume none of the kids are within earshot.
No.
Okay. Question 7. What is your favorite curse word?
Probably some bitch. You some bitch. It's a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie. I curse. I definitely do. But I'm able to not curse as well when the time is needed. But yes, if you ever see me IRL or whatever, I will absolutely. I throw them all out.
Yes.
But yeah, some bitch.
So good to curse. So good to curse. Question 8. What profession, other than your own, I don't think there's a profession you haven't done yet. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
That I would like to attempt?
Mm. If given the chance and someone came along and said you could do this profession, what would that profession be?
I would be an astronomer. That probably would have been the path that I would have tried to take if I was good at math. Once I found out it involved math, I was like, oh no. Oh no. Bye-bye, astronomy dream. If I could and I had the stuff, it would be an astronomer.
Yeah, no, quite a worthy profession. What profession would you not like to do?
I would say anything that just has me sitting inside of an office. That's not for me. I like change of scenery. I like getting out. Like and again, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of labor work that I'm like, but I've done things like roofing. I've never done like construction. I've done like house remodeling and stuff like that. And I love being out and getting to do physical things as well. But for me, it would be just something that I'm just in an office sitting there doing paperwork and stuff. The monotony of it, I couldn't do it.
Yep. Yeah. As a common answer amongst people who are really creative and really busy as well. And that's kind of interesting. I wonder if there's something to that. Final question. And I put this in our shared chat as well. If you could say only one statement to any one person, what would that statement be? And who would that person be?
One statement to anyone. It only has to be one person?
Yeah, just one person.
Just one person. So I can't group my parents? Cuz
all right, we'll group the parents.
I would, for me, it's just thanks to my parents for instilling the belief that I could do anything that I put my mind to. Without that, I don't know that I would be where I've been and have done the things that I do, and I still hold on to that stuff to this day. That's what gives me the confidence to be able to do that stuff and try new things and step out of my comfort zone. So all thanks to my parents and everything that they've done. Obviously, there's been other people over the years as well and mentors, but it all started with my parents for me.
Ryan Smith, thank you.
There
we are.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. There we go. That's it. We did it.
Yes.